Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back to the channel, to another VoiceOver Day vlog, and today's video is going to be a little different. It's on a topic that I don't normally talk about. It's on a subject that I don't normally like to cover. But it is one that is important, and it is one that is becoming more and more of a concern and more of a hot button issue, and something that people getting into voiceover need to be aware of. And it's on the subject of politics and people's personal beliefs and religions and all this kind of stuff. And if any of that is something that you don't want anything to do with, you don't want to hear about, you don't think it's a big issue, I encourage you to just go watch one of my other videos. Because politics is something that is very divisive, especially nowadays, and I would rather people just, if you don't want to, totally understand, but it is something that I personally feel like I need to cover. Because there are a lot of people getting into the arts, whether it's acting, voice acting, what have you, and politics used to not be a part of that. Especially when it came to like stand-up comedy. I mean, politics were always a part of film, and they were always a part of screenwriting because people would be covering certain topics. There's lots of, especially when it was war films. They would be covering the politics of it. And so you'd often get some bleed in that way. But when it came to, actors' personal opinions or personal preferences or personal beliefs or anything like that, normally it was kept out of the sphere. And same thing with people's opinions going in. Everything was just supposed to be entertainment. An actor would play, a character with different beliefs than they did all the time. But for some reason, nowadays, there seems to be a connection of everything being political. Seems to be a connection of everything being politics. And if there's even the smallest amount of disagreement, people get very heated. Very heated. And when people start getting like aggressive over even the smallest thing, because it used to be we would disagree about most things. We used to be able to disagree about most things, but we would focus on the things that we agreed on, and that would be what would keep us together. Nowadays, we agree about most things, but it's the smallest disagreement that decides whether or not someone should get paid, should be allowed to speak, should be shamed, all this kind of stuff. And it's really getting too much. And the reason I'm bringing this up is there's been a couple of my personal favorite voice actors, and I'm not going to name their names because I don't, this is about more the bigger issue, not about them particularly. And some voice actors that I look up to, some people that I genuinely admire. And there are some differences that we have. There's some things that we don't agree with, especially when it comes to politics. And, normally I don't even look into that stuff. But if I hear them say, hey, this, this, I disconnect it from the art. I disconnect it from the characters they played. I disconnect it from the entertainment. And that's what it should be. Now, 10 years ago, this was already happening with actors, with like on-screen film and TV actors, where you'd see them get incredibly political and they would go crazy. Everything was politics. And it started, it started like way back in the 70s, but it kind of had a lull and it started to pick back up again. Well, now it's voice actors, because voice actors are now becoming more and more celebrities because everything is digital. You can keep up with them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And so people's faces are, even when they're voice actors, are very well known. And what we're seeing a lot is, voice actors just trying to, live their lives, share stuff about their family, share stuff about their beliefs. And they're keeping it out of their performance art. They are keeping it out of the performance art. They're keeping that stuff completely disconnected. And it's just them sharing their lives, them talking about their lives, talking about their kids, talking about their family. and just stuff that they like to do or stuff that makes them happy. And people are getting incredibly, incredibly vehement and violent and doxing people and threatening people's lives and lying about them. And it's happening all over. It's happening everywhere. It's not just one side or the other. But it shouldn't be that way to anyone. I don't care what someone says as a stand-up comedian, for example. If they're incredibly political, if their entire thing is politics. There's a couple of voice actors or comedians that are like that, where everything is politics. That's their entire gimmick. That's their entire thing. And it doesn't bother me. As long as it's funny, it's fine. I don't care. Even if they're attacking me specifically, and I've gone to comedy clubs where I've been roasted by my friends or by people who know me for very specific things. As long as it's funny, it's fine. It doesn't bother me. And people doing movies about a particular thing or having a character with like a particular, belief or concept, or who's, in a specific sphere, whether they're the good guy or the bad guy, the point is, what's the point of the movie? Now, of course, we did have a long run, especially after 9/11, well, technically, even before that, where there was a lot of villains were from the Middle East. And yes, that would be a great example of politics in movies. And nowadays you don't see all that much because it's not politically correct to make every single villain from the Middle East. And I would absolutely agree with that. I think, people are, you can have a villain from anywhere. You can have a villain from any place. It's also another reason you see a lot of like aliens and robots and sci-fi and all this kind of stuff is like, well, we can't offend them, right? Trust me, give it 5 years. We will absolutely be offending someone by having robots and aliens be all the villains. They're like, why are we always the villains in the movie? Like, fine. We gotta just invent goblins. We'll make it goblins. Again, this is political and it's too much. And again, I don't care what anyone's beliefs are. I don't care if anyone disagrees with me. I have lots of friends of people who disagree with me. But the problem is with a lot of people, if someone disagrees on anything, it's becoming really, really hard to stay neutral and stay in the performance art sphere and still have a career. Outside of things like actual violence, it really shouldn't be a big deal, but it is. And this is what I'm warning people about. I'm not offering any solutions. I'm not offering any, this is how we're going to fix this. I don't know. I have no clue. But you need to be aware that that is a thing. You need to absolutely be aware that that is a thing. I try to keep my beliefs and my political leanings out of pretty much everything that I do. Try to keep it out of literally everything that I do. Which made my stand-up comedy offend more people somehow. People were mad because I wasn't taking one side or the other. People got mad that I was making fun of myself. One of my last shows, one of the reasons I stopped doing comedy was there was like a group of women and they were getting mad at me for making fun of myself. Not for anything that connected with them. There was nothing I said that was in any way connected to them, but they were mad on my behalf. They were offended on my behalf for me, making fun of me. And that's the sphere that the internet is. That is the entire internet. So if you're going in to doing voice acting, do not think that you are free from this kind of stuff. It's like, oh, I'm in my house. I'm behind a microphone. No one can see my face. They can only hear my voice. You still need to be very careful. Now, I'm not telling people that you can't support whoever you want to support. But you need to be aware of what is going to happen. Like, if you wanted to remodel your voiceover space, remodel your voiceover space. I don't care either way. But be aware of what that's going to do. Be aware that there's going to be a huge mess. Be aware that there's going to be dangers like wiring and stuff like that. Be aware that it's going to be extra hard on you. It's going to be more work. Be aware of these things. I don't want anyone going into this with a false belief that because they're a voice actor, because they're at home, that there's no connection between that and politics. It's all politics now. Be very, very careful. If I had a private, a whole bunch of private videos, maybe I would talk about the people that I'm specifically referring to, but I kind of didn't want to. These are their problems. These are their issues. These are their particular struggles. These are things that they're going through. And I don't have the full story. I have part of these stories, but I don't have the full story. And I wasn't there. I have no direct connection, so I don't want to spread any rumors either way. Just know that going into voiceover, this will absolutely happen to you, especially these days, and I can only imagine it's going to get worse. Just be careful, try to be professional and respectful, and if you try to be respectful, neutral as much as possible, and friendly and professional as much as possible, you will build a tight-knit web of friends, coworkers, peers that will know you better than anyone else who might attack you. And when that happens, you'll have a support behind you. Some people don't have that. Some people don't have a tightly knit group of support for just in case this kind of stuff does happen. And it is very much overwhelming. It can depress. It can make you want to quit. But, just more respectful, more neutral for the most part, and more professional, the better chance you have. It's not going to prevent any of this from happening, but it may help. Keep politics over here, try to be professional, and try to have different profiles. So if you got a Twitter profile for your voiceover, keep the politics off that, period. Instagram, same thing. If you want one for politics, have one for politics. But keep your politics off of your professional profile on anything, period. So yeah, no solutions. Maybe some tips, but no solutions. And it was just something that was bugging me, and I just wanted to share that, and that's why I still look disgusting and gross and didn't take a shower, didn't do makeup, and I'm sorry. But yeah, there you go. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Totally fine. Subscribe if you're new, bell for notifications, and leave down in the comment section below. Like to see me talk about any other topics, hopefully not politics. And if you guys need any personal help or need to share something or anything that's too, personal or intimate, and you don't want to leave it down in the comment section, I have an email in the description that you can email me, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and until next time, peace.